Welcome into Under the Radar. I am Drew Martin on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, breaking down the odds, the trends in MLB baseball for this upcoming week. We got the beginning of June, guys, so we're getting a pretty good sample size here and kind of digging into the overs and the unders, the totals market on the diamond, where we can kind of find an advantage. So get into some statistics that I'm kind of researching and trying to find ways to find more winners than losers in the future. So let's get after it, guys. Kind of a glimpse view of what's going on in the MLB betting markets from a totals perspective. We got MLB totals this season coming into Tuesday night action. We got 52% of the games falling under the total, 48% going over the total. And if you remember, we did a show kind of right after the MLB season got underway, about a month in, and it was almost 60% to the under. So we're getting a little bit more, the odds makers are kind of catching up from the totals market. We talked about the humidifier, the baseball not traveling as far. Maybe now that it's warming up, we're kind of, that's helping in terms of more overs coming in, but still, the under is the profitable bet, at least more so than the over. Of course, you got to get to 52.38%, which we'll hit a little bit later in the show. Wanted to break down some bullpen metrics that I'm going after, and also some offensive metrics, and points towards some teams where maybe we can kind of hone in and ride them as more of an over team or an under team for the next month or so. We'll also recap it going forward in 2 weeks as well. So come back and join us. But guys, let's get into this. Teams with the heaviest over trends so far this season. We got the Philadelphia Phillies hitting 60% to the over night's games. That's every 6 out of 10. The Phillies are hitting towards the over, profitable there. All 4 of these teams profitable. This is from 57% and above. The Colorado Rockies there at 57%. Of course, coming into this season, in the National League, all of these teams are in the NL. What did we get? We got the DH in the National League. I think that might have something to do with that. So we get the Rockies 57%. That was a team I marked to actually be betting on with the DH in the thin air, a mile high. But the mistake I kind of made from a personal betting standpoint is should have been betting them towards the over, because they really haven't been all that profitable. They got off to a good hot start in a tough division, but still 57% towards the over would have been the better bet. We get the Giants there, even above 57% at 58%, as well as the Braves. The Braves are the head scratcher to me. I couldn't, as we'll get into here in the next slide, I couldn't really figure out why the Braves were hitting at a 58% towards the over. But the other 3 I kind of got here. The Phillies, their bullpen is not very good at all. We got the Giants. Surprisingly, their bullpen not very good this season. And the Rockies, of course, that DH coming into the thin air. I thought that had a big reason to do with it. Under trenders, teams with the biggest under trends. This one was surprising to me. The Houston Astros, over 70%. The only team in MLB towards the under. The Tigers, the only other one over 60%, sitting at 65%. We're going to dig into the Detroit Tigers a little bit deeper here as the show goes on. We got the Pirates 59% towards the under, D-backs 58%, and the Red Sox still sitting at 56% towards the under, which really is surprising because that lineup, talking about the Sox, is the hottest lineup in baseball right now. You go back 2 weeks, back a week, and remember Boston's start to the season, very dismal, talking about, selling players, kind of preparing for next year. Now they're sitting at the 500 mark and in the playoff hunt. So Boston, a really good team to kind of hone in on, betting them from a side perspective, in my opinion. Hey, maybe even towards an over, but actually we got to get more into their bullpen. So let's get into the bullpens now, guys. Top 5 whip. If you're looking for kind of a glimpse view to go after ranking bullpens, whip is a good metric in terms of where I start my handicapping. But let's get after this. We get the Guardians, Tigers, Dodgers, Astros, and Rays in terms of top 5 in MLB in bullpen whip. And what do we have correlation here? The teams with unders. We get the Tigers and the Astros, the 2 teams with the heaviest unders. If you remember, the Astros hitting 71% and the Tigers hitting 65% towards the under. Well, they're both top 5 bullpens in MLB. We got bottom 5 in OPS because, half of hitting overs and unders is pitching, the other half being offense. So going to hit this real quick. Bottom 5 in OPS, Tigers, Athletics, Royals, White Sox, and Pirates. What do all those teams have in common? Well, 3 of them are in the AL Central, but all of them are not very good teams. I know the Pirates kind of showing flashes here, a good young team, maybe in the future going to be good, but all of these teams are under 500 so far on the season. Really points to, whether you want to rate it weighted runs created plus, OPS, they're really correlated. They're not hitting the ball very well, all 5 of those teams. And using what we just got in OPS with the bullpen whip, we get the Detroit Tigers on that list. And sure enough, the Detroit Tigers are hosting the Blue Jays this weekend in a 3-game series. And trying to throw out, some free plays on the show. One game that I'm going to go after here, 3 games, is the Blue Jays and the Tigers on the under. But first, I want to kind of point out why this is happening in terms of under trends hitting at a higher than 50% rate for the season. And guys, I got this from the Associated Press. If you remember going back before the season started, they had the riffle in terms of the lockout or the strike, whatever you want to call it. It was a shortened spring training. And the MLB came in and expanded the rosters, allowing teams to have 14 pitchers. Originally, they were going to allow them to have it until May 2nd, so pretty much the whole month of April. And they pushed it back to May 30th. Now they're pushing it back to June 19th. And what I'm getting at is back in the day, there wasn't 14 pitchers on every MLB roster. So I can remember there would be 10 or 11. Back when I was kind of like growing up back in like the 90s. And now we're getting 14 pitchers, and we're still getting like top-notch talent at the batting, as in terms of batters. Heck, they might even be better than they used to be. But really, the mathematics behind it, when you have 14 pitchers on 30 teams, that's a whole lot of pitchers. I mean, that's what? 30 times 14 is times 10 would be 300, and then add, so it's 420. Wow, 420 pitchers. That's kind of random. But what I'm getting at is a lot of those pitchers would be in double and triple A back in the day, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, heck, even 5 years ago. And what's happening, at least in my mind, I go back to the movie Moneyball. One of the scenes is, Billy Bean talking to the team, talking to the Oakland A's back in Moneyball, saying, hey, take pitches. We want to be hitting off of their 11th and 12th best pitcher by the end of the series. Well, now we're getting 14 pitchers per roster. And these guys, a lot of them shouldn't be in MLB. And I think that's why sometimes these overs can be hitting. And as it warms up, maybe look for the next 3 weeks to be betting more overs. That's something I kind of got from doing research for this show. And in 2 weeks, we'll come back and revisit it. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's more overs than unders in the next 2 weeks. But getting back to kind of correlating OPS with bullpen whip and the team that kind of checks the mark on both, that's the Detroit Tigers in terms of OPS being low and bullpen whip being high. That's bullpen whip being low and OPS also being low. So looking to bet the Detroit Tigers under. They are hosting the Toronto Blue Jays here. And I think we're going to get some elevated totals because of that Blue Jays lineup. Now, it's always kind of difficult to bet unders, but hey, guys, I got to ride what the numbers are telling me. 3-game series. Can't project all of the numbers here, but I am going to look to bet this series under the total. So we'll rack it up there with 3 bets for the free play. It's the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Got to throw out some free plays, not only the statistics and the trends. So betting Toronto and Detroit under the total. Guys, in recap, on the year long here, we did go 1-2 in the last MLB video, so took a loss there, and that puts us at 18-17, 51% on the season, minus 0.5 units. So if you're a $100 bettor, you're down $50. We're giving it out here for free on the YouTube channel. And just kind of a reminder, even though we're hitting over 50%, if you're new to betting, you got to hit over 52.38% because the 11 to 10, the VIG, whatever you want to call it, the charge that sportsbooks kind of charge the bettors there is working against us. So we are down a little bit. But guys, hey, if you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Check me out at WagerTalk.com. And please feel free to reply below. You know, the producer behind the scenes, Dan Alexander, he always does a great job. We were talking about it in terms of what trends and angles to kind of go after here. It's kind of the hardest part of the show is what do you want us to research? So please feel free to reply below what you're seeing in MLB so far this season. We'll get after it in college football as well, NFL. So all your thoughts, what you thought of this show, please let me know below, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk in 2 weeks.